The year is 1848. The air is still. And somewhere on the edge of Missouri, a wagon creaks under the weight of everything a family owns. You stand at the edge of civilization, staring westward toward a horizon that stretches beyond what you can see. Out there lies Oregon, 2,000 miles of rugged earth, wild rivers, and unrelenting sun. And beyond that, land, free land, 640 acres if you make it. But not everyone does. In fact, many don't. You've heard the stories. Some don't survive the mountains. Others fall to the rivers. A few go mad in the heat or starve in the snow. But you, like thousands of others, believe the reward outweighs the risk. You've said goodbye to your home, to the wooden porch your father built, to the neighbors who brought over pies and tears last Sunday. You left your town behind with nothing but faith, and a wagon filled with flour, bacon, rifles, and dreams. Your name is John McAllister. You're 38. Your wife, Eliza, is 35. You have 3 children: William, 14, Sarah, 9, and baby Thomas, still nursing. You are not poor, but you are not rich. You are just like everyone else on this trail, hopeful, afraid, and tired before the journey even begins. Last night, Eliza sat beside the wagon with her sewing. She mended the same dress she wore to church in Tennessee. William whittled a piece of wood into something he swears is a horse. And Sarah, your little storyteller, asked what Oregon would smell like. You told her it would smell like pine trees and fresh bread. You lied. You don't know. As night fell, the camp grew quiet. A few fires flickered among the wagons. Someone played a fiddle. Someone else cried softly. And you stared into the dark prairie, wondering what lay ahead. You know only this. Tomorrow you walk west into 6 months of dust, disease, river crossings, rattlesnakes, and choices you're not ready to make. They call it a trail. But what you'll walk is no path, no road, just ground, endless ground, hardened by the wheels of those who went before, and the graves of those who didn't make it. And so you sleep now, under canvas and stars. You listen to the oxen breathing nearby. You pull Eliza closer beneath the quilt your mother made. And you pray, not for riches, or even for Oregon. You pray only for tomorrow, just one more day. Morning breaks slowly across the Tennessee hills, not with trumpets, but with soft light spilling through cabin windows and the low murmur of final chores. The McAllister family has lived here for 6 years. This small, split-log home sits on a patch of land John worked with his own hands. He cleared the stones, dug the well, raised the barn. Eliza planted corn and sunflowers. Sarah was born in the back bedroom during a thunderstorm so loud it shook the shutters. But now, everything they built is being packed into a wooden box on wheels. Out front, the wagon groans as John tightens the ropes. He double-checks every lash, every nail. The wagon is canvas-covered and oak-framed, built to endure weather, mud, and, God willing, time. Inside, their lives are reduced to essentials: 50 pounds of flour, 20 pounds of salt pork, a barrel of beans, blankets, a cast-iron pot, 1 tin coffee pot, rifles, ammunition, soap, rope, a washboard. Eliza folds the family Bible and tucks it beside her sewing kit. She wraps it all in a hand-stitched cloth her mother gave her on her wedding day. Sarah places her doll, ragged and missing a button eye, into a small cedar box. She whispers something to it. You don't hear what. But her eyes are glassy. She knows this is goodbye. You've sold what you could. The rest, tools, furniture, a few chickens, you've given away to neighbors. They came yesterday. Some cried, some prayed, others just stood silently on the porch. Your best friend, Walter, hugged you hard and said, "Don't let that river take you, John. The Platt'll fool you." You didn't answer. You couldn't. Now, with the sun rising over the hills, it's time. The wagon train waits outside town. 10 families, 20 wagons, dozens of oxen, each loaded to the brim. They'll head north first to Missouri, then west, toward Oregon. The path is known, but the journey is not. One last glance at the cabin. Its door is open, just slightly. Inside, the rocking chair still moves from when Eliza rose. You walk in, slowly. You place your hand on the hearth. Cool now, after so many warm nights. You breathe it in. Smoke, old flour, dry pine. This is the last time you'll be home. The road ahead has no return, only forward. Outside, Eliza lifts Thomas gently into the wagon. Sarah clutches her doll. William stands tall, pretending not to be afraid. You climb onto the driver's board, take the reins, and click your tongue. The oxen grunt. The wagon jerks forward. The trail begins. Behind you, the cabin fades into the trees. Ahead of you, 2,000 miles of uncertainty. And by nightfall, you will already begin to feel the weight of it. Fade to the sound of wheels rolling on dirt, muffled footsteps, wind sweeping across open grasslands. The wagon is not what you imagined. It's not a carriage. It's not even something you want to ride in. It sways like a cradle and jerks like a plow. Every rut in the trail hits the axle like thunder. And inside, it's dark, hot, close. The wagon stands about 4 feet wide and 10 feet long. Enough room for tools, barrels, bedding, and very little else. You thought you'd ride in it. But now, just a few hours in, you realize you'll be walking. So will Eliza. So will William. Only Sarah, when her legs give out, and little Thomas ride inside. And even then, only when the road is passable and the oxen aren't struggling. Your boots crunch along the side of the trail. The sun beats on your neck. Sweat runs down your back. The leather strap of your rifle cuts into your shoulder. But you dare not loosen it. Not here. Inside the wagon, everything must be balanced. If the barrels shift, the weight could tip you. If the beans burst, rats might follow. If the axle cracks, you stop. For hours, maybe days. There is no suspension, just wooden wheels and hope. Every creak of the frame is a warning. Every groan of the oxen, a plea. You hear Sarah coughing from inside. Dust, thick and dry. The wagon kicks it up in clouds. It settles on skin, clothes, bread, and tongues. There is no escaping it. It coats your teeth like powder. When you eat, it crunches between every bite. When you drink, it turns your mouth to clay. Eliza walks behind you, carrying Thomas on her hip. She doesn't complain. She doesn't speak. But you can see her knuckles, white around the baby's legs. William walks ahead, trying to prove something. He's too young to carry real weight, but old enough to pretend he can. He checks the harnesses. He looks back often, not at you, but at Sarah. He worries too. By mid-afternoon, the heat settles over the wagon like a heavy quilt. You stop briefly to check the wheels. You kneel. Place your hand to the iron rim, warm, almost burning. You check the axle. No cracks. Good. For now. A woman from the next wagon shares a biscuit with Eliza. She says it's going to rain tonight. You doubt it. The sky hasn't blinked in 3 days. You walk again. The land changes slowly. Grass turns to dirt. Dirt to mud. Sometimes the trail narrows, pressing the wagons through canyons or tree lines. Sometimes it opens wide, so wide you can see nothing but prairie in all directions. And in those open stretches, the loneliness creeps in. You haven't seen a building in 3 days. No towns, no fences, no mail, no church bells. Just oxen, wagons, and the trail. As the sun begins to sink, the train slows. The captain raises a hand. Time to set camp. Tonight, you'll circle the wagons. Build a fire. Boil beans. Check the oxen for sores. And then, you'll sleep. Not in the wagon. There's no room. You'll sleep on the ground, next to Eliza, next to William, with one eye open, and your hand on your rifle, because you've made it through the first full day, and already you're exhausted. But this was the easy part. Fade to distant lowing of oxen, the snap of a small fire, wind brushing tall grass. Then silence. The trail does not welcome you. It does not greet you with open arms. It simply continues. A line of pressed earth and scattered ruts winding west into forever. There are no signs, no markers, no fences to guide you. Only the wagon tracks of those who came before, and perhaps their graves. You wake on the cold ground. Your back aches. The air is sharp. Eliza is already up, feeding the fire. She moves quietly, without speaking. Sarah shivers beside you, still wrapped in her blanket. William is crouched over the fire, poking at a pot of boiled coffee that tastes like dirt and burns like ash. You eat in silence. A crust of biscuit. A thin slice of bacon. No butter. No fruit. Just what lasts. Then comes the packing. The fire is stamped out. Bedrolls are tied. The oxen are yoked, snorting against the morning frost. It is the same routine, day after day. And it will be for months. The wagon train begins to move, creaking wheels, clicking reins, low voices. You walk. Not because you want to, but because there's no room to ride. Not without risking your supplies or your children. By noon, your shoulders sting with sunburn. Your feet swell in your boots. The trail is dry and narrow. Rocks litter the path, each one waiting to twist an ankle or snap a wheel. You pass another train, going east. 2 wagons, one half empty, the other broken. A man with a red beard nods as he passes. His eyes are hollow. His wife says nothing. There are no children with them. You wonder what they lost. You wonder if you'll lose the same. The oxen grunt with each step, slow, relentless. They do not stop unless told. They do not drink unless led. And if one dies, you carry the weight yourself. You break for lunch, a generous name for dry jerky and tepid water. Eliza feeds Thomas while sitting on a barrel of beans. Sarah stares at the horizon. She hasn't spoken since breakfast. You ask if she's feeling all right. She nods, but she won't look at you. By afternoon, the heat returns. The prairie bakes under a sun that shows no mercy. The wind dies down. The air stands still. Dust clings to everything. It fills your eyes, your throat, your shoes. It buries your socks. You begin to cough, dry and shallow. Eliza hands you a cloth, and you tie it over your mouth like a bandit. You pass the first grave, a small pile of stones by the side of the trail. A piece of wood stands upright, leaning slightly. The name carved into it is barely legible. It reads, Anna, age 4, June 2nd. No last name, no family, just a date and the cruel reality of the trail. No one speaks. Even William lowers his head. You walk on. That night, the camp feels heavier. The fire is smaller. The laughter softer. A woman in the next wagon over begins to cough. It's deep, wet. Her husband holds her close, pretending not to hear the rasp. Eliza wraps Thomas tightly, and you both sleep under the wagon. The stars above are sharp and clear, but there is no comfort in them, only cold light and distance. You've survived 3 days now. Only 180 to go. Fade to distant owl call, soft fire, crackle, rhythmic creaking of wagon wood in memory. Food is heavy. Water is heavier. But you packed what you could. 2 barrels of drinking water, 50 pounds of flour, salt pork, beans, a small pouch of coffee. It seemed like enough. Back in Tennessee, it felt like plenty. Now, 10 days into the trail, you realize how quickly enough becomes not even close. The mornings are still bearable. You boil what's left of the coffee, bitter and thin. A pan of cornmeal mush for breakfast. The bacon is already starting to turn. You slice off the green edges, cook it hard, and try not to taste the sourness. Sarah refuses hers. She says it smells like soap and spoiled milk. Eliza scolds her gently, but doesn't press. You don't either. She'll need her strength, but you understand. Even hunger has its limits. The water is worse. What was clean now smells off. The barrels swell and sweat in the heat. Each dip of the ladle brings up more than just water. A mosquito wing, a fleck of mold. You strain it through cloth, but the taste is still there. Stagnant, earthy, wrong. And still, you drink it. Because thirst doesn't wait. Midday heat hits like a furnace. The wind carries no cool relief, only dust. The air is so dry your lips crack when you speak. You bleed without noticing. William asks for more water after lunch. You hesitate. You tell him to sip, not gulp. He looks confused, maybe even angry. But he obeys. Eliza rations what's left. She uses a tin cup and draws lines inside it with chalk. 1 finger of water per person, twice a day. If it runs out, you'll need to dig for a spring. If no spring comes, well, you pray it comes. That night, the pork turns. Even after boiling, the smell lingers. Eliza throws it into the fire. Better hungry than sick. Other families aren't faring better. You hear a man arguing over beans, his sack spoiled with weevils. He throws it to the ground and curses the sky. His wife stands behind him, silent, arms crossed over her chest. A child in the third wagon vomits during dinner. Her mother cries softly. No one moves to help. Everyone's watching their own food, their own water, their own children. Sarah asks you, quietly, if God is angry with them. You tell her no. You say, this is just what the trail is like. But you're not sure she believes you. You're not sure you believe yourself. By the 15th day, the flour is nearly gone. It clumps with moisture. It smells faintly of mildew. You bake it anyway. The biscuits come out hard as rocks. Still, you eat them. Everyone does. You pass another grave. A small circle of stones. No name. Only a rusted tin plate nailed to a stick. The letters are scratched into the metal with a nail. J.S. starved. Age 28. You look at William. He's sweating through his shirt. Sarah's cheeks are sunken. Thomas cries more often now. Weak, hungry cries. You think of home, of Eliza's garden, of warm bread, of the well behind the house that never ran dry. It all feels like a memory from someone else's life. Tonight, dinner is boiled beans and silence. You eat slowly, savoring each spoonful as though it might be your last. Eliza cuts the last apple in half and gives a slice to each child. You watch them eat it like it's gold. You give yours to her. She protests, but you insist. You tell her you're not hungry. It's a lie, but a small one, a kind one. And when the fire dies down, and the wind picks up, and you lie awake under the wagon, your stomach hollow and churning, you wonder how many more days like this you can endure. The trail does not feed you. It does not quench your thirst. It only takes. Fade to soft wind, the slow clunk of a ladle in an empty water barrel, and a child coughing in the distance. It starts with a cough, just a little one, dry, tight, easy to ignore. You're walking behind the wagon when you hear it. Someone in the fourth wagon back. The red-haired girl, maybe 12. She covers her mouth politely. Her mother looks down, says nothing. You don't think much of it. Not then. By evening, she's coughing harder, deeper. That wet sound, like something bubbling in her chest. She lies down before supper, doesn't eat. They say it's just exhaustion, just heat. But you know better. You've heard of this. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid. On the trail, it doesn't take long. One moment someone is walking beside you. The next, they're buried by the riverbank. There are no doctors, no hospitals, no medicine. Just what you packed, and hope. A bottle of laudanum, a handful of willow bark. Some folk remedies no one trusts. The next morning, the girl is gone. They buried her before dawn. No ceremony, no hymns, just a mound of earth beside a thin, twisted tree. Her name was Clara. You only learned it after she died. That same day, William complains of stomach pain. He tries to hide it, but you see the wince in his step. You feel his forehead. It's warm. Too warm. Eliza presses a damp cloth to his brow. She doesn't say what she's thinking. Neither do you. You stop early that night. The whole train is slower now. Everyone feels it. The weight, the dread. Children are quieter. Fires are smaller. People sit farther apart. A boy in the second wagon begins vomiting after dinner. A woman is too weak to walk and must be lifted down. The train captain tells everyone to boil all water. He speaks sternly, but his eyes betray fear. He knows the truth. The sickness is here. And it travels faster than any wagon. You dig your first grave that night. For someone you knew only by face, Mr. Cartwright from Illinois. He was coughing yesterday. By morning, he couldn't stand. By noon, he was gone. You help dig because his son can't. The boy just sits on a rock, staring. You say nothing. There's nothing to say. The soil is dry and loose. Your shovel scrapes rock. You use your hands when it gets shallow. You place stones over the top to keep animals out. You say a few words. But the trail doesn't stop for prayer. When you return to the wagon, William is asleep. Still sweating, but peaceful for now. You sit by the fire and sharpen your knife. Not for protection, just because it gives your hands something to do. Eliza stares into the flames. She whispers, "How many more?" You don't answer. A man down the line burns his wagon tonight. Sickness took his wife and infant daughter. He throws kerosene and a match, and it all goes up. The fire glows against the prairie like a beacon. People watch it burn, but no one moves. No one stops him. No one speaks. The next morning, 2 more graves join Clara's, and a third is being dug before breakfast. There is no funeral, no mourning, only the soft sound of shovels and the long, slow creak of wagons pulling away. On the Oregon Trail, it is not war or wolves that kill you. It is water. It is waste. It is the simple mistake of drinking from the wrong stream or touching your mouth after tending to someone sick. It is invisible. And by the time you feel it, it's already too late. That night, you wake in the dark, breath caught in your throat. You reach for Eliza. She's awake too. She says nothing. You both listen to the sound of someone coughing in the wagon behind yours. It goes on for hours. You lie there, motionless, and wonder who it will be next. Fade to distant shovel sounds, quiet sobbing, and prairie wind pulling at the canvas. The trail is not just dirt. It is water. It is wind. It is sky. It is the crushing indifference of nature, unfolding in miles. After the sickness came the silence. The wagon train moves slower now, quieter. The laughter has faded. Only the groaning of wheels, the slap of reins, and the steady breath of oxen remain. You've grown used to the rhythm of suffering, but you are not ready for what's next. It begins with wind. Gentle at first, but different. Colder, heavier. By afternoon, the horizon darkens. Clouds gather like cavalry, thick and silent. You smell it before you see it. Rain, sharp and metallic. The captain calls for an early stop. You form a tight wagon circle. The sky turns purple, then green. The first crack of thunder hits so hard it shakes the ground beneath your boots. Eliza holds Sarah close. Thomas won't stop crying. The canvas of the wagon flaps violently. The oxen moan and shift, restless. Rain hits, fast, blinding sheets. Within seconds, the ground is mud. The fire sputters and dies. The storm doesn't pass. It sits, right on top of you, like a weight. Lightning forks across the plains, white-hot, silent for a breath, then boom, so loud it makes Sarah scream and cling to your arm. One bolt strikes a tree near the edge of camp. The tree splits in half and falls, crashing to the ground. No one sleeps. The wind shrieks through every crack and seam. The wagon trembles like it might break apart. You brace your back against the side and pray. Not for deliverance, just to hold together until morning. You survive the storm. But not without loss. One family's wagon tipped in the night. The wheels snapped. Their flour soaked. Their beans ruined. Their ox panicked, ran off into the prairie. You help right the wagon. But the family is silent. The father just nods and stares at the wreckage. The mother keeps her hands clasped in prayer. 3 days later, the river comes. The Platte, wide, shallow in places, but treacherous, fast-moving, deceptive. The banks are slick with mud. You strip off your boots and roll up your trousers. Your oxen snort nervously. They smell the current. You lead your wagon in. Cold water rushes against your thighs. It climbs fast. Eliza holds Thomas high over her head. Sarah clutches your belt. William stares at the far bank like it's the edge of the world. Halfway across, the current shifts. The wagon tilts. One of the oxen stumbles. A barrel of flour breaks loose and vanishes downstream. You grip the reins with both hands and yell. Not words, just sound. Sheer effort. Pure survival. The wagon lurches up onto the other side. You fall to your knees. The oxen are panting. Everyone is soaked, but alive. Not everyone was so lucky. The sixth wagon didn't make it. The current pulled it sideways. 2 oxen drowned. The axles snapped. A child went missing. A boy named Jacob. His mother screamed for hours. They never found him. That night, the camp does not speak. Only fire crackles. Only the wind murmurs. You stare into the flames, your hands still shaking. Eliza squeezes your shoulder. You don't return it. Not because you don't love her. Because you're trying to feel nothing at all. A week later, the heat returns. The trail hardens. The dust rises. The sweat comes back. And then comes the sun. Not like before. Not just warmth. This is something else. The sky bleaches white. The ground cracks. Your tongue sticks to your teeth. The water grows thick in the barrels. Flies swarm. Oxen slow. You begin to hear ringing in your ears, and the horizon begins to waver. William collapses one afternoon, face red, eyes blank. You pour your last clean cup of water over his head. He opens his eyes. Barely. You call for help. But no one has water to spare. Not anymore. The trail doesn't care that you're tired. It doesn't care that you're sick. It doesn't care that your boy just fell face first into the dirt. The trail just goes on. And on. And on. You walk under sun. You walk through storm. You walk past rivers. You walk until your legs become strangers to you. You've made it a month now, somehow. But Oregon still lies over 1,000 miles away. Behind you, graves, wreckage, and a wagon patched with rope. Ahead of you, mountains, deserts, more rivers, and one truth you can't ignore. Nature is not your enemy. But it is not your friend either. It simply is. Fade to sound of wind racing through dry grass, then silence. Then a quiet, distant thunder roll fading into darkness. The land tests your body, but people test your soul. On the Oregon Trail, it is not just the rivers or the storms or the hunger that break you. It's the man beside you. It's the woman across the fire. The people you began this journey with, full of smiles and shared bread, are not the same people walking now. And neither are you. By week 5, the tension spreads like fever, not all at once, but quietly, softly, in whispers, in side glances, in silence where there used to be laughter. The McAllisters walk apart now. John speaks little. Eliza speaks less. William is quiet. Sarah sleeps more than she should. Even Thomas, the baby, cries less, not because he's content, but because he's too tired to cry. One night, a sack of flour goes missing. From the Harper wagon, the family with 3 sons. They swear they tied it down, but it's gone. They accuse the Dalton family, 3 wagons down. You see them argue by the fire, voices low, sharp, hands gesturing. One of the Dalton boys stands, fists clenched. The captain steps in, says there will be no fighting. But the damage is done. People move their wagons farther apart that night. No one shares biscuits anymore. 2 days later, someone's ox goes missing. The tracks suggest it was cut loose, deliberately. No one admits to it. But eyes scan every face like they're reading confessions. You hear things in the dark now. Not wolves, not thunder, but people. Whispers, arguments behind canvas walls, grieving that has turned into blame. At a dry creek bed, you wait for hours while one wagon's wheel is repaired. An older man, sick with fever, begs to be left behind. Says he's slowing them down. His daughter refuses. A younger man, from another family, says what others are thinking. If he can't walk, he won't make it. He's using up water. Voices rise. John watches from the edge, his jaw set tight. He says nothing. That night, the old man dies anyway, and the daughter rides on in silence. Eliza speaks to you after dark. She asks if people are turning cruel. You say no. You say they're just scared. But deep down, you know that fear is cruelty. Fear is what divides. The wagon train splits 2 days later. Half the group wants to take a shortcut. They say it'll save a week. The other half stays on the main trail. The vote is tense. 12 wagons go left. 8 wagons, including yours, go right. You watch them vanish into the hills. You may never see them again. You may not want to. Fewer voices now. Fewer wagons. The prairie is quieter. Even the oxen seem subdued. A man named Green shoots his own dog today. The animal had a broken leg. Couldn't walk. He says it's mercy. But the way his hands tremble when he reloads says otherwise. Another man drinks too much laudanum one night. By morning, he's still breathing, but barely. His wife has nothing to say. She just sits, staring west. And still, you walk. You endure. But each step feels heavier. Not because your body is failing, though it is, but because you've seen what this journey does. To people, to neighbors, to kindness, to the part of you that once believed everyone out here was a friend. You no longer greet passing wagons with waves. You no longer smile when you see another campfire. You sleep with your rifle at your side and your family within reach. You used to fear the land. Now you fear the man walking beside you. And yet, you wake and you walk because there is no other direction to go. Fade to the muffled sound of someone quietly weeping near a fire. The wind picks up again. An axe strikes wood once, then again, then silence. The sun has slipped behind the edge of the earth. Not set, just disappeared, like so many things on this trail. And now, the world is blue and black and still. The only light flickers from a single fire. Your fire. You sit close to it, boots off, legs aching. Your shirt sticks to your back with the day's sweat. But you're too tired to move, too tired to care. The children are asleep. Sarah curled up under a blanket, one hand clutched tight around that little cloth doll. William lies flat on his back, arms stretched out, mouth slightly open, the way boys sleep when they've worked too hard for too long. Thomas murmurs in his sleep. Eliza rocks him gently without standing. Her eyes are open, watching the fire. But they aren't really watching. They're remembering. Somewhere else, somewhere safe. You haven't spoken in an hour. And yet, you've never felt more connected to her, to them, to the silence. Because at night, around the fire, the trail reveals its deepest truth. That you are still alive, but only barely, and only because of them. You hear someone coughing 2 wagons down. Not sick, just dust. Maybe. You can't tell anymore. And you've stopped trying. You think about home, about the porch, the fields, the well, the rocking chair. You think about the warmth of a real bed, a full belly, the smell of morning bread, the sound of rain on a roof, not on canvas. You think about your father, about the way he used to stand at the end of the lane after supper, hands on hips, looking west. You wonder if this is what he imagined. You wonder if he would have survived a day out here. You wonder if you have. Eliza finally speaks. She whispers, "We're almost through the first month." You nod. She doesn't see it. But you do it anyway. You can't bring yourself to say, "Only 5 more to go." Because 5 months doesn't feel possible. Tomorrow barely does. The fire pops. Sparks dance in the air. You add 1 more stick, not because it's cold, but because the light feels like hope. Even now, you watch the shadows flicker across your children's faces. They are thinner, quieter, changed, but they are still here, still yours. And that, for tonight, is enough. You lie down, back to the earth, eyes to the stars, your rifle within reach, always. The prairie wind sighs across the grass, rustling the canvas gently. You hear the oxen shifting. A night bird calls, once, then again, and slowly. Your eyes begin to close. You survived today. Some didn't. Some won't survive tomorrow. But you did. And that is all the trail gives you. One day at a time. One night at a time. One fire. One breath. One step. The trail goes on. Long after you close your eyes. Long after the fire fades. Long after the sun rises once more. It winds west through tall grass and dust, over mountains and rivers, through hunger and hope, and into a place only the lucky, or the stubborn, ever reach. You have walked it now, for a day, And you have seen enough. The cracked lips, the broken wheels, the silence after burial, the glint in a mother's eyes as she holds her last piece of bread for her child. History tells us that over 400,000 men, women, and children made this journey, and more than 60,000 never made it. They lie in unmarked graves, beneath the trail, beneath the dust. Most were never written about, but they were real, their names spoken only in tears, then lost to wind. You walked beside them tonight, and now you remember them. You felt the ache in your legs, the thirst in your throat, the weight of loss, and the unbearable stillness of the prairie at night. But tomorrow won't come. Not for us. Not here. Because this journey, this day, ends now. The sun will rise. The oxen will stir. The wagons will creak into motion again. But for you, this is enough. One day. One impossible, unforgettable day. And now, you rest. The fire is out. The sky is dark. The wind is soft. And the trail remembers you.